What history is now known says there is none, but a blood descendant and a rightful heir. The third great mo'opuna of Kamehameha in 2007 claimed the broken chair. What history of Polynesia was so long suppressed, our Polynesian kings in 2010 addressed, with blessings put upon him on a trip to New Zealand, named Mana'ariki Nui by the Royal Union of the Pacific Nations. A Tui now recognized a sovereign state by the UN. Alongside Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa, we are the fourth of the TMAC nations. What history was long forgotten is now known, as the Po'o of Polynesia, Hawaiʻi's king, has found his throne.
The king has mentioned, great honor to all who have come today to witness the symbolic how our people in ancient day were. Godlike people. The whole world shall know that all the kings of the Pacific have arrived. At this time, the three corners, the three poles, have been sealed by the King, King of all kings, through Christ. Sealed the three corners of the earth.
Now here is a story as old and as true as the sky. The Aina is raped and the crime denied. Welcome to Hawaii. Feel the aloha all around. The waves, the sun, the smiles, but why the frowns? Why the dislike of the military all around? Perhaps you don't know that time and time again, when there has been an offense given, it was under the pretense of the Department of Defense. From the Queen in her jail cell, rotting under house arrest, to the smoldering remains of Ko'olawe. The heart grows heavy in the chest, for all that I see is white imperial greed at its best. The motives are all here and clear to see. For land, water, and soil, the military comes to displace, but what is left when they have taken what they want and left an island of destruction in its place?
The Kanaka Maoli flag and a British flag. King Kamehameha I designed the first Hawaiian flag in 1782. And then in 1794, Kamehameha gave up their right to receive protection from the Great Britain. The native Hawaiians were upset because the British flag was raised over King Kamehameha's royal palace. That was the second flag to float over the Hawaiian Islands. Although he wanted their own sovereignty, King Kamehameha was also being smart because he wanted protection from the Great Britain. Many years later, during the Revolutionary War, an American man told King Kamehameha to have a flag of his own. During the outbreak of the war, Captain Berkeley was assigned by King Kamehameha to design the first Hawaiian flag. The new flag was the combination of Hawaiian with the Europeans and the American interests. Also, the simple Union Jack remained to show the friendship for England, and the red, blue, and white stripes represent the American flag. From the native Hawaiian perspective, they don't like the new state flag because the love for the Aina has restored their power to fight for their own sovereignty. And the old flag is coming back to give us what was stolen from our tradition because we're not British, we're Kanaka Maoli.
Mele, poetry, music, chants, and songs, a fundamental part of the histories and lives of the Kanaka Maoli of Hawaiʻi. We use mele to record and recount our histories and stories, as well as our ideas about the lives of our people, our land. It connects us to our culture, our practices, our political theories, our ideas, our Aina, our home. Hawaiian mele is very diverse. Mele koʻihonua, our genealogies. Mele wahipana, to honor culturally important places. Mele inoa, to honor a person and their name. Mele aloha, to express love and affection. But to keep our political perspective. Mele lahui, in honor of the lahui, the Hawaiian people and nation. In a way, all mele is considered mele lahui, for it was written for the lahui, the Hawaiian people. But it was not until Kamehameha V, at a time in which Hawaii interacts with colonial nations, it was made necessary to distinguish the Hawaiian people as lahui. Lydia Kamakaeha Lili'u, to be known as Queen Liliuokalani in later years, was asked by the king to write a national anthem. She called it He Mele Lahui, Hawaii. Mele Lahui was composed to show resistance to foreign colonialism and assertions of Hawaiian rights to sovereignty and independence. These mele contain historical details of these events, and they honor the heroes of these events and the places they occurred. The mele criticizes and disparages the enemies of Hawaii. The mele is a reflection of cultural, religious, and political values and practices. These mele were filled with different concepts of lahui, ea, their connection to the Aina, and that which is pono. These are representations of Hawaiian ideas and ideals, perceptions and conceptions of our world, our nation, our people. Ahua apane, apane kovaha, he ho'olono ke onei, a word in reply, open the mouth and speak, for a listener is here.
In the 1970s in Hawaii, progress in the name of ruling class interest was raging all across the state. As wealthy private landowners were out to make a killing, selling thousands of acres of rural land to developers, proposing progress, proposing profit. Rezoning ag land into housing, turning farmland into suburbs, turning lo'ikalo into parking lots, turning fish ponds into school districts. They paved paradise to put up suburbia. They forced small, sustainable local farmers off the land, displaced hundreds of families, nailed eviction notices across the front doors of Hawaiian homes. See, this was the setting under which the Waiahole Waikane eviction struggle took place. Amidst the backdrop of military bombing of Koho'olave for target practice, and the long creep of suburbia from Kahala to Ko'olapoko, from Kalihi to Ewa Beach, and by 1970, barely 20% of Hawaii's residents could afford any of the new homes built as affordable housing. So in response, community activists organized into groups and united under a common cause to help the people of Waiahole Waikane save themselves from being evicted and displaced by suburbanization. The struggle lasted from 1973 to 1977 as they helped organize the embattled residents of Waiahole Waikane into a community association strong enough to fight back against the wishes of the wealthy landowner who planned to sell the land to a group of multi-million-dollar developers who would rezone the valleys to build 7,000 homes and a golf course. But the Waiahole Waikane Community Association wouldn't have it. The 120 families of the area stood together firm and refused to leave the valley. Under the slogan, "The People United Will Never Be Defeated," the Waiahole Waikane Community Association took their protests from the green of the windward side to the concrete of downtown Honolulu, from the rotunda of the state capitol to the steps of City Hall. They made their resistance vocal and high profile, waved signs declaring a stop to the evictions and opposition to the development. They marched on state offices, took their struggle to the classrooms, of the UH Mānoa and staged teach-ins. Activists occupied the valley with hundreds of supporters from across the island in a show of force and solidarity with the residents. They instituted an early warning system, built hunting stands and air horns perched in trees. They surveyed the roadways and notified residents of approaching law enforcement vehicles. And they blocked a few main roads into the neighborhood with their own cars and trucks and bodies to impede HPD from enforcing the evictions. They even shut down Kamehameha Highway, blocking each lane with barricades made of abandoned cars and people 500 deep linked together arm in arm with the will to succeed. And after 3 years of raising a ruckus and staging confrontations with state officials, the Land Use Commission halted the rezoning until an environmental impact statement could be assessed. And upon the Land Use Commission's findings against the proposed development deal, the state finally defused the situation by buying both valleys in 1977 for $6.1 million. However, negotiations with the residents for long-term leases in Waikane Valley stretched on for another 2 decades. See, it was a long and hard road to walk for Waihole Waikane residents, but when developers threatened the lush land they called home, not only did they withstand the push for progress, but sent it packing. They banded together to march and fiery protests until their voices were finally heard, and today the struggle is remembered as one of the few land battles won by the residents wanting to keep the country country. And even still today, the people of Waihole Waikane Community Association are still committed to the land and to preserving their way of life, understanding that if they can take care of the land, well, then the land will take care of them. But they know this can only happen if they remain steadfast and vigilant.